Hey, good afternoon to you. It's 4:06 here, News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up, Rich Anderson, the head of the Republican Party in Virginia, will join us. Election day continues. We'll get a feel from him for how things are going and how you can support the cause of sanity in the Commonwealth. Pat Fallon is with us, the congressman, at 5 o'clock from the House Oversight Committee. Are impeachments for the Bidens, not impeachments, subpoenas, impeachments too, are they all imminent for the Bidens? And then Ben Weingarten will be with us from Real Clear Investigations at 5:30 with an in-depth examination of the censorship of the American people. You can join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. The Associated Press with a headline today: House advances effort to censure Rashida Tlaib over her rhetoric about the Israel-Hamas war. The AP already very defensive of her. They say she's the only Palestinian American in Congress. Why would you attack her? A vote on whether to censure Tlaib, a punishment one step below expulsion from the House, advanced Tuesday in a procedural vote. Republican Representative Rich McCormick of Georgia proposed the censure resolution in response to what he calls Tlaib's promotion of anti-Semitic rhetoric. Quote, "It's a shame my colleagues are more focused on silencing me than they are on saving lives as the death toll in Gaza surpasses 10,000, Tlaib said in a statement. According to whom? Whose number is 10,000? The death toll in Gaza has surpassed 10,000, she said. That would be according to Hamas. That's where that number comes from, the terror organization Hamas. The censure push sets the stage for a dramatic vote on the House floor amid the political tensions over the ongoing deadly Israel-Hamas war. You know, Tlaib has caused a lot of problems in the United States Congress. One of them is that she is an unstoppable liar. She just lies about everything. She lied about a hospital attack. The hospital attack was done from within Gaza by Palestinian Islamic Jihad. They hit their own hospital parking lot, apparently by accident, according to the Hamas terrorists who were caught on audio discussing what had happened. That was one of ours? Oh, crap, that was one of ours. And then who got the blame for it? Well, Israel did. The international press ran with blame immediately. And then when it became crystal clear that it wasn't Israel's fault, who kept on going with it being, oh, it was Israel who did it? Rashida Tlaib. And she said, Israel are a bunch of liars, she said. The United States intelligence community, she also said, lied about this. It was Israel who did it. And so she whipped a bunch of people into a frenzy, and they went in, they destroyed, they caused all sorts of chaos inside of a congressional office building, and they were slowly arrested over the course of many hours. And this was not long ago. Additionally, over the weekend, just going into the weekend, I think it was, Rashida Tlaib accused Joe Biden of aiding and abetting genocide. She accused him of genocide because Biden, in some tepid ways, has signaled support for Israel in its self-defense efforts against Hamas. So now he's guilty of genocide. So she's given both Republicans and Democrats plenty of reasons to give her a censure. And yet, here you have Democrats today who are all seemingly walking in lockstep with her because party loyalty is much more important, even though she's, of course, been completely disloyal to Biden. That's irrelevant. Let's ignore her insanity, and let's stick with her. So Democrats are mounting these passionate defenses today for Rashida Tlaib from the floor. Here's one. Here's Cori Bush today going absolutely bananas on the House floor, standing up for anti-Semitism, as she would, standing up for one of the craziest members of Congress, and she is so inflamed, she can barely breathe. As you listen to this audio, Cori Bush can't even maintain her composure, and she's not saying anything intelligent enough to warrant this exertion. But here she goes.
Of a lack of care and a lack of understanding and a lack of seeing the humanity of folks who look like Rashida Tlaib. It's outrageous that my colleagues...
You are racist if you censure the woman who is a racist.
...are blatantly attempting to silence the only Palestinian American representative right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising.
She can't be held accountable for her actions because she's a Palestinian American woman. And that means she is off limits.
Tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people.
Slow down, girl. Slow down. Hold your breath. You're going to knock yourself out. What is she talking about? The members of Congress enslaving black people? What in the world is she possibly talking about? Now, she could be talking about her own party in a sense because, well, first of all, Democrats and their historic love for slavery. But additionally, modern day slavery is happening in places like, well, I don't know, China. Modern day slavery is happening in places like, I don't know, the United States, where you have children who are being forced into labor to pay off the debts to the cartels. And it's only made possible by her party. Her party. That's it. So listen to her lecture everybody else about, slavery, 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 when it's her party that's aiding and abetting that horrific practice.
Right here. It's outrageous, but it's not surprising. And let me tell you, it's not surprising because this place is where 1,700 members of Congress, this elected body, enslaved black people. It's not surprising because they thought it was right. It's not surprising because this is a place where members continue to claim that the insurrection on the Capitol just appeared to look like a normal tourist visit.
Her breaths are getting a lot more shrieky now, too. Can you hear how high-pitched they are? I don't even know if this registers over radio.
It's not surprising.
If your dog starts reacting, let me know.
This is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off at elevators, xenophobia, and more.
Wait. Holy cow, she is really trying for everything. Did she say get pushed off of elevators? Is that what she said? She said that black and brown staff members, if I'm following this correctly, in the United States Congress on some routine basis are pushed off of elevators? What is happening in the Congress? How did we miss this story? I'd like to know more.
Tourist visit. It's not surprising because this is the place where our black and brown staff members repeatedly speak of experiencing racism and sexism, Islamophobia, get pushed off at elevators, xenophobia, and more right here in this workplace. This is the place. And let me say this. She mourns for the 1,400 Israelis.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
Gentlelady? What gentlelady are you talking about?
Mourns for the 10,000, and she will not stop. No more.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
I'm sorry, it's hard to follow.
Fire now, and she takes the death threats that you all send that they.
The gentlelady is no longer recognized. The gentleman from Maryland.
To her.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to introduce an additional censure for Cori frickin' Bush.
The desire to save lives is greater.
Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
That's what I said.
What?
We'll reserve.
The gentleman from Maryland reserves. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
What even happened? So that's the level of the rhetoric today in the United States Congress. It's going crazy. The whole squad is out to play today. Let's see. Rashida Tlaib. So she stood up for herself today, and she. I know this might surprise you, but she is the victim of all of this. It's her. She's the real victim in a story where she is being a full-blown anti-Semite, retelling the biggest lies on the planet, encouraging people to raid the United States Capitol. She is the true victim of our saga. Here she is.
And anti-Semitism makes us all less safe and worry that your own child might suffer the horrors that 6-year-old Wadia did in Illinois. I can't believe I have to say this, but Palestinian people are not disposable.
At this point, she begins crying. Now, Ilhan Omar is meandering over. She's offering a supportive tap on the shoulder. She's saying, I'm here for you. She may have said this similarly years ago to her brother when she helped bring him into the country by marrying him. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you.
We are human beings.
Oh, God.
Just like anyone else. My city, my grandmother, like all Palestinians.
She's holding up a picture, allegedly of her grandmother.
Just wants to live her life with freedom and human dignity we all deserve. Speaking up to save lives, Mr. Chair, no matter faith, no matter ethnicity, should not be controversial in this chamber. The cries of the Palestinian and Israeli children sound no different to me. Why?
Really?
What? I don't understand.
Has she ever condemned Hamas? Have those words ever come across her lips? I don't think so. I don't think she's ever condemned Hamas.
Is why the cries of Palestinians sound different to you all. We cannot lose our shared humanity, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that's a speech that you should be giving to yourself. So that's Rashida Tlaib today. Here is good old Debbie Dingell. She's got some thoughts. She's fully on board with Tlaib and her insanity.
American and every other member of this body has. And this resolution is an attack on that fundamental right. I spent all weekend in Michigan this last weekend talking to all the communities about the meaning of this phrase.
She did some journalism. The phrase she's talking about is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. In other words, Israel will be completely erased. A genocide will ensue. So she spent all weekend doing the reporting. You know, I started asking people what they mean by that, says Debbie Dingell.
Communities about the meaning of this phrase. And there are very strong feelings on all sides. And it's very clear that people interpret words in different ways.
What percentage of the people you spoke with interpreted that as genocide for Israel?
Personally, I choose not to use a phrase that is offensive to some and that many perceive as a threat. But I also take seriously living in a country that does not restrict, forbid, or censor free speech.
Okay, well, a censure doesn't mean that Rashida Tlaib will be removed from Congress, although she might deserve expulsion. That's not what's happening here. A censure doesn't preclude her from using her free speech rights. A censure is an official rejection of the odious ideas that she's been expressing in public as a sitting member of Congress. That's what it is. It's not depriving her of free speech rights. It's engaging in speech back towards her. We're going to censure you now. We're going to censure you. Ilhan Omar also had words today. Let's see what she had to say.
What is true here is that every single one of them...
She's pointing at everybody. She's doing this very aggressive pointing going on. And if you know anything, it's always the pointers who are the most decent people.
What is true here is that every single one of them has not acknowledged the fact that Palestinians are dying in the tens of thousands.
Well, that's not even true. That's another lie. First of all, tens of thousands. We've gone from 10,000. Wasn't the number earlier in this segment 10,000? And that's what Rashida Tlaib claims because she heard it from Hamas. And so now she's saying 10,000. And now Ilhan Omar is saying tens of thousands, as in multiple tens of thousands have died now. And she claims that nobody is acknowledging the deaths of the people within Gaza. Nobody on that side, she says, meaning I assume Republicans or, anybody who's opposed to anti-Semitism is what she's referring to. And that's not true at all. In fact, have you talked to anybody, Ilhan Omar, about what's happening between Israel and Gaza right now, and Hamas specifically? Hamas is using civilians as human shields. The Israelis have been urging civilians in Gaza to clear the area. They're very cognizant of the lives that are being lost as a result of this war. And so Ilhan Omar is saying nobody's even thinking about that. That's literally the thing they're thinking of. They go out of their way to try and protect civilians and to strike military targets. But you know the way Hamas operates. They build these military operations from which they are killing Israelis inside of civilian centers and then telling the civilians, you will stay in this position. You will stay here and be used as human shields.
Tens of thousands, but we'll continue to say it is us who are not acknowledging humanity. Rashida will stand strong.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
The movement will continue for liberation until every single Palestinian has the right to live
from
in
Maryland
liberty.
is
When was the last time Ilhan Omar gave a speech with this much aggression about some problem afflicting America? When was the last time Cori Bush lost her breath because of what is happening to American citizens right now? There is no footage like that. The aggression that they're demonstrating right now, and this is, have you noticed, this is kind of a trend. It only has to do with defending corruption and bigotry and their pet political projects and their lobbyist stuff. That's the only time that they get animated. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of it. Well, Democrats demonstrating their insanity, and they're doing it in public, thank God, not behind closed doors. You get to see it in all of its glory on the floor of the House today. Meredith calling in from Alabama, now line 2. Meredith, you're on the Vince Coglianese Show. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi. I'm a faithful listener and just love you to death.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. I have a question. What does it take to get someone expelled from Congress? It seems to me, and this is my question, is it not something that members of Congress have to pledge their allegiance to the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and protect and defend and all that other kind of stuff? Then why does Ilhan Omar, who is probably the most ungrateful immigrant ever, and people like Cori Bush and that disgusting Rashida Tlaib, how do they get away with this?
Yeah, isn't it amazing? Because Democrats let their own party get away with anything. That's the answer. You need 2/3 of the House to vote in unison to expel a member. And that's not going to happen when Democrats view it all as a power equation. They don't care what Rashida Tlaib says. They don't care what kind of violence she incites. They don't care that she's literally making things up about what's happening in a foreign country in order to satisfy her demented agenda.
No, she told the truth, probably dissolve.
Hard to hear you. Say that one more time.
I said if she told the truth, she'd probably dissolve.
Oh, yeah, if she told the truth. Yeah, if she told the truth, they'd expel her. It's 4:29. Well, good afternoon to you. 4:35 here at News Talk 105.9 WMAL, where we're making sense of the news. Coming up today on the program, we've got Congressman Pat Fallon joining us at 5 o'clock. We'll talk about whether or not subpoenas are imminent for the Biden family. It sure seems to be heading that way. And Ben Weingarten will join us from Real Clear Investigations at 5:30. Brand new documents out now showing the extent of the feds and their collusion with the big tech companies to censor you. You can join us where we don't do censorship here. 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. It is election day. It is election day. And we're looking at some of the early vote numbers, and it looks like a bunch of Virginians showed up. There were well over 500,000 in-person early votes throughout the Commonwealth. Also, by mail, there have at least been a little bit over 200,000 ballots returned like that. Everybody else voting now, today. For more on this, let's bring in the chairman of the Republican Party of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Rich Anderson, is on the phone. Rich, good to have you with us, sir.
Good to be here. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well. You're probably staying busy today, huh?
Just slightly so. In fact, I'm en route to Richmond, but I pulled off to a rest stop just to talk to you.
Well, I'm appreciative of that. Give us a forecast. How do you think things are going right now, Rich?
Well, I think things are going very well. I'm very pleased with it, but in the end, and right now that has a lot to do with feeling, and what really counts is numbers, and those will begin coming in shortly after the polls close tonight.
Yeah.
This is going to be a close election either way. I mean, the generic ballot is 50-50 right down the middle. So we'll see. You had cited some numbers about early voting, and I'm very pleased about that. Of about 6 million registered voters here in Virginia, over 500,000 have voted in-person absentee, and about an absentee ballot mail-in returns about 250,000. So I'm very pleased with that. And those are current numbers as of today in the reports that I received.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I know, right now, if we're just kind of holding up our finger to the wind, feeling what's going on at the moment, there's a lot of chaos on the left. A lot of Democrats, for instance, are unhappy with their own party. People who are unhappy with the Joe Biden presidency, for instance. And I haven't seen any meaningful attacks really on Governor Glenn Youngkin's time in office. Democrats have tried to make hay out of the fact that he wants a 15-week abortion ban in the Commonwealth, but that is not in any way a radical proposal. In fact, it's not even as aggressive as plenty of countries around the planet. And so they haven't had a good line of attack on this guy.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you will look, I see a lot of the mail that goes out from Democrat candidates all around the state, and you'd be surprised how many are not attacking him, and they're instead saying that they're working with Governor Youngkin on this and that and this and that. And I've never seen that before. When McAuliffe and Northam were in office, we certainly didn't do that. But I think that they sense the fact this governor has hovered between 55 and 58% in the polls. Virginians appreciate the work that he has done. And so, voila, that's what you see. So I'm feeling very good about this because we do have a leader of our party that has appealed to what you could characterize as Republicans, independents, and thinking Democrats.
Yeah, that'd be a big deal today, and like I said, the energy, I think, it seems to be on the right. And you've got on the left, you just have a bunch of people who seem to be pretty depressed, and that's a nice thing in terms of just beating them in an election. Do you get the sense on the conservative side that Republicans are energized? I mean, you've seen a lot of these elections, Rich. How does this one compare?
Well, I travel the state all the time. I'm a homeless guy living out of his car. In the last month, I put 10,000 miles on my car.
Wow.
And a lot of that has been with the governor because he has traveled this state. He has devoted time to candidates and campaigns alike in order to carry the good news message of what he wants to do if he gets the House and the Senate, which he must have. And so there's enthusiasm wherever we go. And I hear the same thing if I'm wearing a Youngkin, and I'm proud to wear it, red sweater, vest, and when I stop somewhere, and I'm alone outside of a rally environment, people come up to me, people give me thumbs up. This is a popular governor. A lot of chief executives of the states would fight to have the sort of numbers he has.
Obviously, we've got polls closing today at 7:00. Rich, would you give us some words of advice here on this last push in these final hours? What do people need to do to bring back some sanity to the state?
What people need to do, if they did not do what the governor asked them to do, and vote early. If they didn't, we respect that. But the polls do close promptly at 7 p.m. The important thing to remember, if you get there right at 7 p.m. and you're in line, if that line is down the street and around the corner, fine, you can still vote. The key is you just simply have to be in line, and those polls will stay open until the last person has cast their ballot for their candidates of choice. So 7 p.m. is very, very important about this. Anyone who has mailed in an absentee ballot, as long as it's postmarked today or before and is received by their registrar's office no later than noon on Monday. Normally it's Friday, but it's on Monday because Friday is a holiday. It's officially Veterans Day.
Right.
So it gets pushed off to the next business day, which is Monday. So as long as they've been cast by today with a postmark and then they're received by noon on Monday, then those will be counted by local registrars. And although I think this is bad business, the reality is it's in law. We do have same-day voter registration. So somebody can go to the polls, register to vote, and cast what's called a provisional ballot. And once that person has been validated, if they're legitimate and can be extended the right to vote, then that provisional ballot will be counted as a regular ballot. So, and people should bring their ID. It doesn't have to be a photo ID anymore. It should be. 70% of the people feel like it should be, but nonetheless, bring some sort of ID that's outlined in the regulations.
I did see that, for instance, in Hanover County, Virginia today, they're having very high same-day registrations, according to the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Do you know anything about that? How frequently are there a lot of people who are registering today and then subsequently voting?
Actually, normally that's not a huge number of people that engage in same-day voter registration. It's brand new. People are accustomed to the old paradigm, and that is you go get registered by whatever the last day is specified in the Code of Virginia. So.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I know that everyone's probably reticent to make big predictions on what's going to happen specifically tonight, especially after last year's midterms, where there was just so much belief that Republicans were going to have a massive red wave in the United States Congress. That did not come to fruition, although, of course, Republicans did capture the House there. Are things different, do you think, this year than they were last year?
Well, I feel like it is, and I'll tell you why. Well, first of all, you know, the electorate is fussy and unpredictable these days. Polling seems like it is not nearly as accurate as it was at one time. And so 2021 was a wonderful year. We won governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. We flipped the House of Delegates.
Yes, indeed.
Then we moved into 2022. It was still a good year. We didn't get what we wanted, which was 3 seats. Flipped from Democrat to Republican, but we got one. So what we did is last year we sent one more Republican, one less Democrat, flipped the U.S. House, and fired Nancy Pelosi. That was a good night. That was a good night for America. And so if I had to compare the 2 years, the feeling in the air is more like 2021 than 2022.
Among the candidates for the Republicans, what has been the singular driving issue that they've encountered when they talk to voters? Is it the economy? Is it crime? What's the thing that gets people animated?
It's these things, Vince. Parents matter, which means education matters. Protection, care, respect for law enforcement matters, which means public safety matters. And jobs in the economy. I read a news article within the last day about a huge percentage of the population is now living paycheck to paycheck. And it's because of this economy, and it's directly traceable, directly attributable to Democrat leadership in Washington. Period, dot, end of discussion.
All right, so couple of let's see, very obvious questions for you. One is, where should people go if they still haven't voted, but they'd like to know who they should vote for, Rich Anderson? What resource should they turn to?
Well, what they do when they present themselves today for in-person voting, they will be met by a poll worker who will hand them a sample ballot that indicates who they should vote for. The Republicans and the Democrats each give out ballots, and they indicate the party affiliation for local candidates, because that doesn't appear on the ballot once you get inside. The only party affiliation that appears is for House of Delegates and Senate candidates.
Yes.
Everybody else, there's no party affiliation indicated. That's why handing out sample ballots is paramount.
Excellent. And then tonight, when those results come in, what are we looking for tonight as we watch this? For instance, at what point do they count all of these early votes? Will those numbers come in immediately, or will they come in later in the evening?
Well, I think what they're doing this year is I think that they are reporting all that together, because, it has been very frustrating when the day of voting, the Republican Party, the Republican candidates are doing well, and then all of a sudden these early votes get reported. I know they've already counted it because I voted early, absentee by mail, as our governor requested, and I thought I had to lead by example. And I got a text message about 5 days ago that said, "Richard Anderson, we have counted your ballot." So those have been counted and tabulated.
Excellent. So that's the Florida model. That's the way Florida handles their election. All that stuff that came in early, they get it out right away.
Right.
Excellent. All right. Well, Rich Anderson, I know you're busy today. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. Again, head of the Republican Party there in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Appreciate your time, sir.
All right. We're going to hold the House, flip the Senate, save the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I'm going to say a prayer, too, to make sure that happens. Thanks, Rich.
All right. Thank you,
Appreciate
Vince.
it.
Bye-bye.
That's Rich Anderson. What has your experience been like at the polls today? 888-630-9625, 888-630-WMAL. Did you go vote today? What have you seen out there? By this point, I think most precincts should be working like clockwork. You go in there, you get your paper ballot, you sit down at one of those little stations with a trifold, protector to keep everybody away, all the prying eyes from staring at who you're voting for, and then you take a pen and you fill in the bubble. Remember when you used to do that as a kid? You fill in the bubble on the Scantron. Make sure you fill it in just so. Get it all completely darkened. and then bring that paper to the tabulation machine. It sucks it in, and you should hear the paper fall to the bottom of the machine, plunk, which is a good sign. They said, wait for it. In fact, the woman told me, she said, wait for the paper to hit the bottom. And I heard it. Listen, it fell like Wile E. Coyote all the way to the bottom, hit it, and I said, I heard it. And she handed me my sticker and a lollipop, and I went on my way. And I said, thanks for that. So, yeah, that's what voting's like. And also, you should bring your kids, too. If you haven't done it yet and your kids are out of school this afternoon, bring them with you. Let them see democracy in action. What does it look like to actually vote for people, be a responsible citizen, have some say in the future of the Commonwealth in this case? That's a useful exercise. Very, very useful exercise. Of course, the reports we're seeing today have been mostly good. People showing up. Very busy polling places, at least this morning. Things died down after everybody went in and got it done earlier this morning. And there have been some crazy lefties screaming, as you might imagine. I think this is going to just have to be every election day. There's always going to be something like this. It's like a Groundhog's Day. There's going to be a lefty screaming at Republicans, especially Republicans handing out sample ballots, which Rich Anderson was just talking about. You need to go to Gitmo. This guy was yelling in Arlington this morning. For what? For having a different preference on my candidates? I need to go to Gitmo for that? Do you hear yourself? It's wild. Some of your calls are coming in. Let's check in with our buddy Phil in Fredericksburg, line 2. Phil, you voted today. Hello, Phil.
Hey, yeah, look, Vince, I got in line at 4:30 today because I had a big job I had to go to, and it was going to take me, I thought, to Virginia Beach, which would put me home about 9 tonight, and it all worked out. I got in line at 4:30, didn't have to. The place was empty. The people came in, set up. They were wonderful, and voted at almost exactly right after 6 o'clock. And, man, I feel so good. I feel so good to be able to put that vote in and stick it to all these communists. Oh, my God, please, if you haven't voted, get out there and vote. A veteran gave you the right to vote, and they paid for it with their lives. Please get out and vote. Don't stay home.
Amen. Thank you, Phil. Some people line up early for iPhones. Phil lines up early to save his country. That's it. I think that's the better way to do it. Thank you, Phil. Let's see here. We've got Crystal calling in from Quantico, Virginia, line 4. Crystal, good afternoon.
Hi, Vince. Good afternoon. I voted this morning out of the Jeffersonton district. I believe it's 28. And there was a lot of people there. I was very excited. It was more than I expected.
Could you tell who the people were voting for? Was there some sort of indicator in line? Were all the Democrats wearing masks? What did you see?
That's funny. No, there was no way to tell, frankly. But I was surprised when I got there, and I pulled out my ID, my driver's license to show, and the guy told me, he said, we don't require a photo ID. And I was like, what? I said, that's un-American. So, and they actually normally have a sign that says, have your photo ID prepared and ready to go, whatever. And they put a tape over the word photo. I was really surprised at that.
So the guy rejected your ID? You offered your ID and the guy was like, no need?
Oh, no. No, he didn't reject it. When I came in, he said, oh, I see that you've got your ID. You're all ready. You know what you're doing. You've done this before.
Right.
And I said, right, I sure have. He says, but you don't need to have a photo ID. I said, what? You don't need to have a photo ID? But when I came up to register, they took my photo ID.
Of course, yeah, that's the standard, your photo ID. If you don't have one, you have to sign a statement under, I guess, some sort of felony penalty that, it's definitely me, and then you vote a provisional ballot. That's the way it happens in Virginia. But yeah, the voter ID should be the only way, obviously, for people to vote here.
Especially with a photo. I mean, if you think about it, anybody could say they're Crystal, but I just was a little surprised at that, and I think that we need to put photo ID back into the requirements, frankly, and not just an ID, but a photo ID.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, which is why they won't do it. But it makes perfect sense. Thank you, Crystal. Let's see here. I've got Dave in Vienna, line 6. Dave, good afternoon. You're on the Vince Coglianese Show.
Hey, Vince, thanks very much. Just spent 4 hours manning a volunteer booth at the Spring Hill Recreation Center precinct in McLean, Virginia. Traffic was steady all afternoon, and it seemed to us, a colleague and I, that it looked like we were 60% to two-thirds Republicans, and the rest were who knows.
Dave, have you volunteered in prior elections?
Yes, I have.
How did this one compare, would you say?
Looked to be more interest, more passion, more just a steady stream of people. And like I say, most of them, body language or asking for sample ballots the Republicans seem to outnumber the Democrats.
Interesting. All right, so a good semi-quantitative, qualitative assessment here. You feel like there's some energy here for the Republicans. Dave, thank you for both volunteering and for that insight. Really appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Hey, are we going to see subpoenas sent out to the Biden family anytime soon? There is a lot of chatter now about pulling Hunter Biden in front of Congress imminently. Will that actually happen? We'll talk to Congressman Pat Fallon about that coming up just minutes away. Also, Ben Weingarten's going to join us from Real Clear Investigations with all of the breaking new information on the government censorship of you. Stay with us right here on WMAL.